You have been cordially invited to a world of wonder and intrigue, of steam and invention, of magic and mysteries, where nobles wave playbills at scientists who deepen thought, nearly trip over pixies, delivering news to tinkerers beneath the stage of New Europa. Sit back and enjoy the scene as the actors act, the singers sing, and the players play out the adventures of Castle Falkenstein.
Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Castle Falkenstein here on Wandering DM. I am Simon, the Wandering DM. Welcome. Tonight I'll be playing Oberon Winters, the Gentleman Wizard, who is socially awkward, to say the least. And to my left, right, I think on the screen it's to my left, would be PB. Hi PB, who are you playing tonight? And that's okay. That's who you're playing, right? So right beneath PB we have Deirdre. There you go. And to Deirdre's right is Kenny. Ooh. Hi, sorry, I almost forgot your name for a second.
Can you check our sound, Simon?
Sounds should be okay. Thanks, Anino Gaming, for noticing. Okay. The sound came back. Okay. Yeah, weird. Well then, let's just go around again, introduce yourselves and your characters. We'll start all over. It's okay. Professional streamer. PB, hi.
Hi, I'm PB from PB Plays Inside, and tonight I'm playing Isolina and Atenas Montiel.
Deirdre, hi.
Hi, this evening I am playing the wonderful Contessa Lucrezia Sofia Fioravanti. Partner in crime or detecting with our dear Isolina.
And Kenny.
Bonsoir.
This time it worked.
It works. It works. I'm playing Joseph Fiori-Gogin, and yeah.
Cool. And our host for the evening, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Simon. So, let's get started. We're going to begin with a recap of last week. So last week on Adventures in Castle Falkenstein, Senor Ferdinand Marquez and his team of detectives were busy questioning the partygoers, while our cast was deep in an investigation of their own. After mingling, our latecomer Jalcer teamed up with Isolina, who had not only learned what she could from the maid who found the body, but also found the groundskeeper Ramon, dazed and prone from an attack by a mysterious attendee. Heading out into the back garden, Jalcer and Isolina followed the trail of the fleeing suspect, only to watch what is presumed an escape via Zeppelin. With their keen combined skill of observation, the two discovered a ruby, which they presume belonged to a rose-shaped brooch seen earlier on one Carolina Morones. The two garden walkers returned inside to witness an explosive exchange between Senor Marquez and Senora Morones as he escorted her from the premises. All the while, the Contessa and Oberon continued their inspection upstairs of the study to find where Marcos de Salinas had died before being staged in his desk chair. During this investigation, they discover that the study has been soundproofed quite expertly. The Contessa and Oberon return to the first floor to the scene of the outburst as Isolina redirects Senor Marquez's attention to the case at hand, telling him of the Zeppelin getaway, and Jalcer probes for more information about Carolina. Oberon suggests using the guest list to find out who is missing, and while the detectives busy themselves with new tasks, the cast makes their way back out to the garden to seek additional discoveries. Jalcer brings the wine. After all, what sort of garden walk would it be without a quality garnacha? The two ladies compare notes prior to Oberon's sorcery that conjures an image of a figure that shifts and morphs into other figures. Is the suspect magical? A shapeshifter, maybe? Or is this all some grand conspiracy with multiple players? Find out more when we rejoin our cast as they continue their performance upon New Europa's stage. But before we draw back the curtain and delve into the drama, we will consult the fortune deck, as we do at the beginning of each session, and see what the fates have in store for our players. So, we're going to do a 3-card pull, a help, hinder, harm. We're going to start with an Ace of Hearts. The ace stands for new beginnings. These beginnings are of the element of water and emotions. This time, it'll be the heart that leads the party to the answers they seek. What might hinder them is fate itself. There are forces outside their power that may be controlling what's going on. It'll be work to find what they're looking for, but not impossible. And what may harm them is a fiery passion, a new beginning of some sort of passionate endeavor. So, players, follow your heart, work hard, but avoid starting something new and fiery. With that, we set the scene in the kitchen of the manor house of Lord Marcos de Salinas, recently murdered. Our players walked back in from the back garden to find the maid and the groundskeeper sitting in the kitchen, being tended to by Carolina Morones, who was earlier seen escorted off the premises. With her is a tall, gaunt man in a brown monk's robe. Bald head, large steel cross hanging from a thick chain around his neck. Senor Marquez had just burst in, demanding to know why Carolina was there. She, quite wittily, responded, "I heard you needed a physician." To the rest of you, what do you do as you enter? Who would like to go first?
The Contessa's first reaction is going to be to make the sign of a cross and see if she recognizes the gentleman dressed as a monk, or at least can identify what order he belongs to.
As you look him up and down, his monk order is, from his attire and the simplicity of it, could be a couple of different orders. Could be Franciscan, especially with the simplicity of it. The large steel cross, though, is kind of strange for a Franciscan. You will, however, note a signet ring that he has that has a symbol that you've seen before. It's a symbol that one of your contacts from when you were in France had pointed out to you. They had referenced this symbol as the Promethean Society. They said that they were an upstart set of meddlers that were fashioning themselves as the antithesis to the World Crime League. A bunch of do-gooders going out and trying to stop the grand plans of mad scientists and evildoers like Moriarty.
Seeing that, she's going to have a little bit of fun, because that's what she does.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to make a very, almost perfectly deep curtsy in front of the monk, and in perfect Latin ask for the blessing.
He will smile and in Latin say, "Madam, let me, if you don't mind, I'd like to finish tending to my patient."
But of course.
And do you have a particular blessing that you're interested in?
I don't know. I think one for good luck would be useful right now. It's always the most fun.
He will nod and finish up with Ramon's wound. He was about done anyway. He will then wash his hands and recite a blessing over you. And he is tall, kind of lurch-like in height.
I mean, the Contessa is not very tall. She's only 5'5", so, you know.
He's over 6.5 feet tall, and has a very thick Russian accent.
And does the blessing match what would be expected of a Catholic priest?
Yeah, it does. There are a few nuances to it that are slightly different. Few words that are synonyms. And Oberon, as you listen to him and you notice him, you notice that, or you recognize that his order is actually the mystical order of Saint Boniface.
Oh.
So it is a monk order, but it is a magical monk order.
Mm-hmm.
Then she would turn to Ferdinand, Lord Ferdinand, and say, "Don Fernando, I'd be a dear. I was so upset. I ripped Signorina Carolina's dress, and I need to know, where can I send the, funds to repair it?"
He raises an eyebrow at you and then stares daggers across the room and says, "Why don't you ask her? I'm not her keeper."
"Oh, I just thought that you knew her so well that you could provide an introduction."
An introduction. Then the introduction would be one, Signora Carolina Morones, meddler and lapdog of Talbot. Is he around here somewhere? And you hear him growling kind of in his voice. And she just smiles and shakes her head. No, 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 no. I know you're cross because last time when Talbot was here, he burnt down something. And he goes, cross. I will have that man arrested if he sets foot in Barcelona again. She just, like, gives him, like, a blank stare at that point.
Pardon me, Don Fernando, but who's this Talbot fellow? Was he a guest tonight?
No, Talbot is a meddlesome Englishman. He thinks that he is out to save the world, and instead he ends up causing as much problems as he solves. He fashions himself a real-life Sherlock Holmes. All the pompous assery and none of the wit.
Well, he would have made for fine entertainment tonight.
I will say there is a lot going on tonight. I have no idea where this accent is going. My apologies.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do have more investigators from the region here or from abroad, even, I look at Carolina and I say, "What is your role? Why are you here?"
She gives you a once-over and gives you a kind smile and says, "Oh, just a bit of business. We're covering something that did not rightfully belong to Mr. De Salinas."
If I am understanding correctly, there is a lot of business to be had.
It seems that way. It also seems as though he's good at keeping secrets.
At what cost?
I wish I could ask him, but somebody made that impossible.
Mean. Oh, would you look at that? My glass is empty.
Oh, pardon. It was my job. And I hold up another wine bottle. But maybe we should get another vintage.
Yes, something in red.
And I hold out my arm.
Of course. And she'll take it.
Okay. And yeah, I think we'll... Do we want to leave the area or do we want to search for more wine here?
I don't know. What do the other two want to do?
Yeah.
Because she wants to. If we're not leaving, she wants it to look like that they're kind of moving away, so that they can overhear the wonderful conversation. Because I don't think that Don Ferdinand will have everything to say to Mr. Carolina is with us there.
I think José is a little bit warm, and so they'll start leading towards the corridor that leads outside again.
She'll join him. I mean, we are eventually going to a wine cellar, right? There was the wine cellar plan.
There was a
Just
wine
the other
cellar plan. The other direction? Okay, then we will head deeper into the kitchen.
We're looking for that wine cellar.
There are three entries or exits from the kitchen. One is where goes out. One goes back toward the main hall. And then the other one you can see from the middle of the kitchen has stairs that lead down.
Okay. I'm going to actually have to diagram this.
I know, sorry, I'm just reading a ton of notes and writing them. Is there anything in particular you want to do, Simon?
Right now, yeah. Out of character, Chris.
Yes.
Do we have among magicians a sort of secret handshake or phrase or something to, or are the orders not so secret after all that I can introduce myself openly as someone from the Order of the Golden Mean?
It actually depends on order by order. So certain ones are much more reclusive than others. So, for example, the Order of Chthonian Time is much more secretive as they chase the gift of immortality. They try to hold all of what they know to themselves. On the flip side, though, the Order of St. Boniface is fairly well known. So is the Order of the Golden Dawn, because they've had some sort of public facing. Order of St. Boniface is not uncommon to be in smaller villages, tending to people where there aren't physicians. The Golden Dawn tries to insert themselves into politics, as do a few others, but those are just a couple examples. So your particular order, I don't believe, goes out of their way to be secretive, because they're researchers and scientists in a lot of ways. But they also don't just run around saying, look at me, I cast spells.
Okay. And the work that the priest did on the groundskeeper, was that magical? Or was it actual, physical?
It was mundane medicine. And very good medicine. You think that he probably has formal training as a doctor in one of his, career paths.
Sorry, just going through my head in a moment. Would the differences in the blessing be something that would be ascribed to, say, someone who is linguist here. Sorry, real life linguist. Is it a difference of you didn't necessarily have the memorization correct, and therefore you changed a word based on what you know it should be, and used a different synonym for what it should be? Or is this a practiced system that's just different? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think what
did he make a mistake, or is he just doing off of a different right?
I think that the Contessa would conclude it has more to do with his Russian upbringing and than it does with making a mistake.
So Orthodox versus Catholic.
Probably, yes.
Okay.
That's the most likely conclusion to make there.
Then no, I don't have anything. I think Oberon will extend an arm to Iselina as Jacer and the Contessa are going downstairs. Yeah, if you take it, then I'll head downstairs. Otherwise, I'll stay awkwardly in the kitchen.
Right on brand.
On brand. Yep.
Gosh, I wish I could think of something to do just to have that happen. It's fine. Let's go. Let's go find some wine. And off we go following him.
As we go downstairs, I think Jacer will strike up a conversation. So, if we were here summoned for business, as I assume you were as well, can I assume it has to do with your temperament around being a widow? You are the happiest widow I've ever seen.
Well, it has been 2 years since my dear Stefano passed, but the reality of life is always going to be that sometimes it's just happy to be a widow. And no, I didn't kill my husband.
That was never on my tongue.
Don't worry, it's a large number of people like to make that comment. It's
I'm sure it was an assumption that some person may have made, but not me.
No, and Monsieur Jesser, I can tell you right now that sometimes life is just more fun as a widow. You get to have all of the fun of dancing around the ballroom that you want, or otherwise, without any of the horrible complications about worrying about one's overly worrying about one's reputation.
I imagine we've kind of made our way down to the casks in the cellar, and we're kind of like looking at bottles of wine, and Jesser will say, I know what it is to play a role, and one that fits like a glove. I understand.
But where is the line between the role and the truth, monsieur?
That depends on what you define as a stage.
Life.
Oui.
I like you. You're fun.
I would like to get to know you a little bit better myself.
I always appreciate getting to know people. You never know how beneficial it will be in the future.
Oui. I agreed. I agree. And I imagine, like, that's when Isolina and Oberon would have entered.
I definitely, as we're walking arm in arm with Oberon, I will like cheekily like squeeze his bicep just to see like.
I blush.
Do it like is it hard? Is it squishy? I'm very curious. You look like a squishy man, but from the fisticuffs, I have to assume.
He's squishy.
He's squishy. And after I do so, I will look off to the other side and I'm like, oh, I now see why you have a broken nose.
It is not the girth of the arm that wins the match, Lady Isolina, but the technique and the finesse of the combatant.
Well, you have to have one or the other. And so far I haven't seen either, so we shall see.
Preposterous. It was just a bit of bad luck, that's all it was.
If you say so, Senor Oberon.
Barcelonians don't fight fair anyway.
No, but we fight fun.
Well, next time I will not be caught by surprise as I was the other night.
We shall see, senor. We shall see. And I just poke your bicep again as we close in on Jesser and the Contessa.
When both pairs made their way down to the wine cellar, you will have noticed that there are halls that go in two directions, both north and south, and a lot of the servants' quarters are actually on this floor. The wine cellar is toward the north end of the building, which would be toward the back of the manor house, and is to the left or west. So it would be under part of the ballroom that you were in earlier. And it's fairly large. It's a good sized cellar. A number of casks and bottles throughout. Anything in particular that the members are looking for?
You said that the wine cellar is under the ballroom, right?
It would be under part of the ballroom. It's not under the direct center. It would be under the eastern side of the ballroom, maybe eastern quarter of it.
Okay. And are there rooms that you can count off the measurements for the rest of the ballroom? Off the hallway?
Not off that hallway. You'd probably have to go down, and what would... you would assume that based on the layout of the 2 floors you've been on, that if you went south, you would intersect a perpendicular hall that would stretch across to the west side of the building, and along there you might find the rooms that would then attach to the rest of the ballroom.
But it looks like there are more rooms that there's a way to get there, not that there are dimensions missing.
Yeah, it does not, from the vantage point that you've had so far, it does not look as though there are any dimensions missing, but you haven't been in a part to be able to check them thoroughly.
Okay. Well, then my idea right now is to see if we can find the rest of this, cellar that matches the ballroom.
I agree. Though I will be looking at the wine bottles as we pass by, and if I see any of them with my birth year on it, I will take that one.
The Contessa looks to see if there are any from the year of her wedding.
I grab a bottle at random.
I peruse the French vintages.
You're muted, Chris.
You're gonna have to now come up with 4 different bottles now.
And I'm on my way. So the first bottle that we look at is going to be this card here, King of Diamonds. It's going to be PB's question. Isolina's birthday. You find a vintage that is your birth year and within 2 days, but not your exact date.
I could leave with it. The year is good enough. And I do just...
So that's a maybe yes, for lack of a better term. So close, but not quite. As for your, you said wedding date for the Countessa?
Mm-hmm.
No. That is a hell no. You do not seem to find one that is of that year at all in the cellar. Or that month. French vintages, you dig around, you actually don't find that many. Almost all of the wine here seems to be Spanish, Italian, or something that you haven't actually seen before in your travels. But you do find one French bottle that's not something that's not champagne. It's a nice red wine, not that old. You think it may have been, I don't know, recently acquired?
I think Jacel will pop that one next. They won't save this one.
Okay.
They'll share it.
And then the random one from Oberon. It's a good bottle of wine. You have no idea why, but you are convinced it is a good bottle of wine.
That is good enough for me.
And the reason you don't know why is because it's in a language that you're not familiar with.
Oh.
But it looks old. The label looks fancy, like the quality of the paper, everything that you would associate with high quality craftsmanship is attributed to this. The wax seal that holds the cork in, there's a wax seal that holds the cork in, and there are flecks of silver and gold in the wax.
I'll show the bottle to the rest of the group and say, I apologize. This seems to be written in a language that I cannot read. Do any one of you can read this for me?
Do we?
No.
Oh. Is it, even if we can't read it, is it any language the Contessa recognizes?
I don't believe the Contessa has any reason to know the Sealy script. So I'm going to say no.
No, she does not. But she's going to make a point of saying, well, I don't recognize the words, and I don't recognize the language. So it's definitely not the language on it's not been in any of the countries I've traveled through or in, which rules out most of New Europa at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be
just-
Norwegian.
Yes, I mean, it's...
Well, it is.
Traveled... She traveled extensively. She just hasn't... Not one I recognize.
Well, it is delightful, is all I have to say.
Are you going to actually open it? Or are you leaving
I
it
thought I had
sealed?
already opened it.
I didn't know if you opened it. That's why I told you it was
Sorry.
wax sealed.
Oh,
So that
yeah,
way you
I'll
can
break the
decide.
wax seal and I'll open it.
Okay. It is quite delightful.
Anyone
The,
would care to try.
the next time that you cast a spell, let me know.
Uh-oh.
I mean, she'll try it. She'll try anything once.
It
Just says,
is delightful.
just says
dances on
glass is
your tongue.
empty, so they will definitely try it.
This is very nice. I'll have to remember this one.
And as you guys are you then leaving to explore the rest of the lower floor?
Yeah, we're trying to see if we can find anything mechanical down here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, anything that would make quite a racket.
Okay. Are you going to actively employ any skills?
I mean, the Contessa is always trying to be actively employing her skills.
Okay. Any two people that want to combine their perception can do so. If anybody wishes to do something on their own, let me know.
I would like to use invention to try to find a place that would be suitable for a contraption of that size that would let someone, disappear from one end of the room and reappear in another. Jasser had mentioned, like the stage tricks that you have with trapdoors. So I'm going off of, okay, well, a device that is able to do such a thing would normally be situated in a room, yay big, or at least have certain dimensions. And I'm going through deduction more than just having a look-see.
Okay. With or without magical intervention? Which path are you going to try and deduce first?
Well, so far there's been magic all over the place tonight, so I feel like detect magic sense magic would probably be appropriate here.
Okay. But I just meant like if you're thinking, because the size of the device could be completely different if it were magically driven versus a device that is completely purely mundane.
I'll look for magical device first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will keep that in mind as we progress through the hallway.
The Contessa is going to try and evaluate where something like that would be based on her understanding of what a house like this would need for both servants and usage.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I mean, she did have a house like this, and servants and parties and...
Okay, based on the size of the staff, you're assuming that underneath the stage is probably where there's going to be the largest storerooms. And that's probably the best place to find it if it's large. So going down and first trying to see if there is that perpendicular hall that would lead to the area that you believe the storerooms most likely would be in this kind of architecture. It's slightly different than what you would see in Italy, but Spanish manners and Italian manners are still fairly similar in design. It'll also depend on the earth down here. It is possible that you'll walk part way and find out that there just is no more room. Like the stone got too hard to dig any deeper or something of that nature. So while we walk, we'll look at that. Did you want to actively employ a particular skill, or
Yes, she's going to try.
which skill?
She's going to use her perception to see if she can.
Okay. Do you want to? Does either your partner in detecting, Isolina, want to combine powers on that, or Jasser, your other compatriot, want to jump in and help with the location of a room large enough for a device?
I have a medium diamond that I could contribute.
I have a bunch of diamonds.
Which is-
So I have a lower level diamond that we could use.
Sure.
Okay.
I have none of that.
My lowest is a 6.
My lowest is a 3.
So you play the 3. And combined, you have an 8 and a 6, so that's a 14. So 17 is what you would have then.
Great. How much? So a great is 8 and then good is 6?
Yep.
Okay. I just have little circles and diamonds next to my skills to tell me which one is good and which one is great. Don't know anything about the numbers though, so I'll take that in.
Yeah. 2 points per. So starting at 2 for poor and going up each level, add 2 more. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Oh, okay.
Excellent question. I'm going to say that what you find, nothing looks out of the ordinary. The most likely place is going to be the storerooms that you will happen upon. That there is a door into what would be that area. It is closed and it is on this hall. You would normally think that there'd be a separate hall with multiple of them for different types of foodstuffs or keeping certain things separate. So that seems slightly odd. But outside of that, the absence of other details is probably the most notable thing. Jasser, what would you like to do? I might circle back to Oberon afterwards.
I think if the lady detectives are detecting, I think Jassel will wander off with Oberon. But since Oberon's doing magic, Jasser will kind of just be observing.
Okay.
They don't have any experience in magic. In fact, they're very rooted and grounded, as grounded as an actor can be. So they'll be watching and looking and seeing the straining and the pensiveness and thinking, wow.
What does Jasser know about the stage mechanics? Is tinkering or invention something that Jasser knows anything about?
Just average.
Just average?
Mhm.
So mostly just from the top side is your reference, and then also the knowing of the stagehands and conversation with them. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah, Jasser knows how it works, where to stand, and knows to be very polite to the engineers.
Okay. As you observe, you also come to the conclusion, whether they state it aloud or not, that whatever is behind that door would be the most likely place for that type of a contraption to be able to move across the ballroom unseen very quickly. But until you get behind that door, you wouldn't be able to know anything else.
Okay.
As for invention, specifically magical, you're going to find a number of things. Do you want to play a card related to your invention hypothesis?
I'll play one just to get rid of one.
Okay.
And I will play here.
Alrighty.
4 of hearts.
So
Four.
that'll add 1 point in your invention. Remind me again, is that great?
My invention is good.
Good. So that's a 7.
Yeah.
You'll realize that depending on the type of magic, it's possible that it could take a number of different sizes and shapes, but you also would come to the conclusion it's probably close to the same locale. To imbue an item, to be able to do that, it would have to be at a fixed point or a set of fixed points, and not just randomly stuck in some corner. So behind that door is probably your best bet.
Then the door it is.
I agree, signore.
It seems to be.
There seems to be a lot missing from this house that I would expect the Lord of Desalinas' stature to have.
He just had a homecoming, so maybe he's just needing some time. Well, needed some time.
Does anybody have any form of tinkering higher than average?
I made it specifically to be my flaw.
I know. I wasn't trying to call you out there, Simon.
No, it's okay. I wish I hadn't, but yeah.
Or craftsmanship. That would be another good one.
Nope.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that is very odd to you.
All right. Well, maybe this entire manor is just part of his, I don't know, plan to blackmail people into coming here. It's just a show to him.
Oh, we're being honest about the fact that we all were blackmailed. Okay.
Just putting that one out there, that is one.
Well,
That is quite blunt.
I was blackmailed into coming here.
I mean, it was an assumption, but if
Just
yes,
want to put it out there in the world,
I was.
I mean, it was a very poor attempt at blackmail, I'll be honest. You just could have invited me. I would have showed up anyways. But
I would agree.
more importantly, I would say something else, signore. No, it's not. I would say that based on my own personal experience as a lady of a manor such as this, that a door like that is a hindrance to the staff. And the door like the fact that there are no storerooms close to the kitchen for cold storage of meat or such things, large bulk items, means that there has to be something that he decided was more important than feeding himself or the large amounts of people that he invited. Also, that could be a reason why we only had desserts and drinks and not actual dinner. You didn't miss out on anything after dinner, Jasser. There was petit fours and champagne. The champagne was very good. I never actually got around to the petit fours. Lord Oberon, what did you think of the petit fours? Were they worth it, or were they,
I didn't eat any. I was afraid they might be poisoned.
You wouldn't poison everybody in public. That would be... Never assume that you're going to die from a blackmailer. It means that they can't get their money.
It is odd that such a person has so much information about everybody, and how would they come by it? It seems unnatural.
Probably not the fun way.
Well, definitely not the fun way.
I'm betting he probably bribed some servants, or Lord Oberon, I know I heard the rumors and I cannot guarantee, but is it actually possible to spy on someone with magic?
Fuck if I know. Sorry, it was too easy. I wouldn't know, really. Everything is possible with magic, so one would have to assume that it is, yes, possible to scry upon another person using magic, maybe even read minds.
I know the Fae do that.
I cannot. The magic that I've learned is more akin to science, and so I can tell you what I can do with my magic, but if I can do, a perpetual motion machine, then, anything is possible.
Anything is possible under the Son of God. This is true. So, do we trust that the door is, well, aside from being probably locked, trapped?
Oh, probably. Yes.
Nonsense. Who would trap their own basement? I opened the door.
Oh,
I
It's locked.
am not near the door. I am away from the door.
As everyone panics, Oberon reaches and grabs at the handle. It's securely locked and nothing happens. It is cool to the touch, but you are in a basement. Well, lower level.
I have a very important question, Signore. What side are the hinges on?
You do not see hinges. They may be on the inside.
Kind of door handle is it?
One of the, it's got the guard that comes forward, the long guard, and you reach under, and it's got the lever that you pull down with your thumb.
Well, Senor Finesse, how about you finesse us into this door?
If you insist. And I'll pull on my sleeves a bit. Crinkle my nose. And cast a spell.
What spell are you going to cast?
So there is a spell called Hands of the Clock, which causes gears and springs to move constantly throughout the duration of the spell, or to cease their movement altogether.
Mm-hmm.
A lock is normally a mechanism.
Indeed.
With Hands of the Clock, could I use it to make the mechanism move until it unlocks the door?
Okay, so you're looking to turn the tumbler until it hits the open point.
Yeah.
Let me see. And that's from your particular lodge, correct?
It's from my particular lodge, yeah.
Gotcha.
I have it copy-pasted. If you want, I can put it on Roll20.
Sure.
That's the full description of it.
Gotcha. So it's a base 8 for its target.
Yeah.
And diamonds. Excellent. Okay. So for the do you have your deck of cards? Prepared?
Yep. My special
Good.
deck. He says, looking for his special deck. Hey, it was right there on my... What the hell happened?
So as Oberon is standing in front of the door and he rolls up his sleeves and he starts to analyze the handle and the locking mechanism, his eyes kind of narrow. You all will notice that there is no keyhole. It just seems like a handle, like you would just push down with your thumb on the lever and it would unlatch. But for some reason, it does not.
Got it.
Does it look like any door that Contessa has ever seen?
It looks like a perfectly normal door, except for the missing key hole. So,
Signori, I don't think your hand is the right one. Too bad we didn't, know that to begin with.
My what?
you're saying that your natural hand does not have the magic touch.
Oh.
But does your sorcerer's hand have the magic touch?
I have many sets of hands, Lady Contessa.
But do you use them well?
Well, we shall see, won't we?
Back there, like drinking my wine, and catch a Contessa's eye, and I'm like,
She's gonna reach over and take the bottle from him and go.
That's
and
a
pour another.
7 of diamonds.
I need you to pull a second card at the same time.
The 3 of heart.
Okay.
I'm not close to the door. I want to. I was making
I'd taken the bottle from him and walked back over to Isolina and was pouring us both another drink.
Do you wish to pull a third or another card? Like you didn't intend to harness as much magic as you did, and there's kind of a burst. You kind of get spots in your eyes when it happens, kind of like if you've been staring at the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes you a little bit by surprise, but it doesn't feel harmful per se, just surprising.
Do I add my sorcery rank to the card I drew?
Normally, yes.
Okay, because in that case, with that 7 of diamond, I would be at 15.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, 13.
I know where you're at.
Okay.
I also know what the modifier is that's going on top of that 8.
But it hasn't unlocked yet, has it?
You have heard nothing.
Then I will keep trying.
Okay.
The
And that actually goes for everyone in the hallway. You hear nothing.
She's going to look at the glass, put it down on something, whatever is nearby, and move herself into the center of the hallway and look down the other direction.
Everything looks the same, but you hear nothing.
Do I hear Oberon talking? Because the last time he cast a spell, he said words out loud.
Nothing.
I will take my glass and I'll clink it against a wine bottle.
Nothing.
I think at all of that, Jasser may actually drop their glass.
The glass falls and shatters on the floor. I want. If you're pulling another card, I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
The 5 of clubs.
5 of clubs. Oh, lovely. As it shatters, a light display just sparkles off of the walls everything kind of dims as it shatters as well. And so now there's this play of light that seems to be as though all of the light that was in the hall is now in the shards of glass and bouncing off those shards onto the walls and around, kind of like a disco ball in a roller rink kind of thing.
If Iselina or the Contessa are near, like they'll reach out for one of them and just like try to like grab an arm or something and like direct attention.
This is the point where Oberon, you are acutely aware that you cannot hear. Before, when you were saying the words, you heard it in your head, but you didn't actually hear it out loud. But your concentration was so keen that like that didn't register right away, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Do you continue or do you try the door?
I'll try the door.
It opens.
The Contessa is going to turn around and try and reach a hand out for Oberon. Like on his shoulder.
Okay. I didn't know how far away you backed up, so are you within arm's reach?
She's gonna try and move up to him and just kind of like turn and reach out for his shoulder.
Okay.
Oh, I had to tell you when I casted my next spell.
Yeah. That's what all of this is.
Okay, thank you.
And as soon as you open the door, all of the sound comes back. All of the light returns. Do you actually open the door all the way, or do you just push it open slightly?
I was just pushing it open slightly. I wanted to test the mechanism more than anything.
Yeah, so you get it, like just past the threshold enough to know that it is not connected anymore. So it's fully disengaged, but it's not really open, maybe a hair of a crack. And you can hear everything normally once again.
And voila.
So you usually drive everyone deaf when you do magic. Because I haven't experienced that before, and this is an oddity out of the 3 times I've been around you that you did so.
No. But it might just have been a ward on the door.
Okay. I mean, there were lights dimming and no sound and...
A spook, if you will.
I have only heard of such things in plays. In stories, you are like a fairy.
I was gonna say something, but that might be player knowledge. Would I know as a magician that the fairy cannot do magic at all?
They can do glamour.
What's your education?
Yeah, but it's not magic. Education is great.
And your sorcery is also great?
Yeah.
Yes, you would know that what they have is different than what you do.
Yeah. Fairies can't do magic as I do it, Mr. Gisser.
I will take your word.
It's a different kind of magic.
Maybe, sure.
But yes, it's to the uninitiated, it can be quite surprising to witness.
C'est magnifique, no matter what it is. You got the door open and you drove us deaf and you made dancing lights off of my broken glass.
I did not intend for you to drop your glass, Giselle. My apologies for that.
No. It was me. I was surprised. On this note, I may want to go grab another.
I would.
One second. I want one more card from your spell deck.
Oh, sure.
Uh-oh.
And I said I put a hand on him.
Something else is about to go off. And that is going to be the 8 of club.
8 of clubs. You look down. The glass shards are everywhere. You want to be careful that, you don't actually get hurt by that. So, Jesser, you should be careful where you step and make sure you brush it off of your own feet.
Yeah, Jasa will do so and clear it to the side of the corridor.
Excellent.
So, Signor el Magician, do we go in or do we stand around looking at the door?
Of course. Ladies first. I jest.
That's really-
jest.
I mean,
And I'll
I
open the door.
can if you really want me to.
I'll open the door for them.
As you start to open the door, a deep kind of red light starts to emanate out into the hall.
From within the room?
From within the room.
This is quite the scene.
Do you continue to open all the way?
Mm-hmm.
As you open the door completely, or at least enough that you can see into the room is pitch black, except for in the center of it, there is a large machine. Have all my players seen a Babbage engine?
Mm-hmm.
What?
A Babbage engine. If not, Google it.
Yeah, how'd you spell that?
Babbage.
I have now seen one.
So it looks similar to that in its design, except all of its metal is dark. It is black, like the shadows around it. And there is a halo of light that spotlights over it that is that deep red light that has trickled out into the hallway. Would you like to play a card against your sorcery to know more about what you're, or invention to know more about what you're seeing?
Yes.
Tell me which one, and then play the card for me. They're both the same suit. So just tell me which skill you're using as the primary one.
It doesn't look magical in any way, so I'll go with invention.
Okay.
For it.
Okay.
There you go. I only have
Fair enough.
cards to discard, so.
So that's one extra point. You are pretty sure that this is what many people would refer to as an infernal engine. You've never seen one before, but from all of the descriptions, the foreboding descriptions that go along with them, this must be what that is.
An infernal engine.
Well, this
Has
does
a-
not look like a good engine. I've seen many in my day. But I'd really get it a sort of, how do you say, just a bit of a je ne sais quoi.
Oui, definitely je ne sais quoi. It has more gears than the stage that I play on normally.
Looking through the door, do I see anything else in the room?
Everything else is pitch black.
Well then.
Despite its
She's fine.
forebodingness, this is quite amazing.
What about it is amazing?
Well, it's just I've seen or heard about an infernal engine, never seen one before.
An infernal engine. That does not sound good.
Definitely not.
Common rumors of infernal
Um,
engines are the things that mad scientists try to create in order to hold the world hostage.
Theatrics. I don't
If-
think. Yes.
If someone were to build some mechanician to derive secrets out of people, could this device do that?
I'm tempted to say yes. And can I use my sorcery to start? I don't want to fiddle with the machine, but to study it further.
Are you entering into the room?
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay. Everything I described is what you saw from the doorway before you walked
Okay.
in.
Yeah, no, I want to walk around it. I want, without touching it, I want to go into more details. The touching part is the third step.
As you enter into the room, the lights shift and everything looks normal. The machine itself does not have that black foreboding look at all. It looks like a normal Babbage engine.
And if I take a step back and get out of the room?
It goes right back to what you saw before.
This is fascinating. Please, everyone, take a step into the room.
Does Oberon look the same as he's walking in and out?
Absolutely.
Well then,
It's harmless, I swear.
anyone else need to top off as I'm doing this?
I am good, Contessa, thank you.
Sure, why not? Let's walk into a room with an infernal engine. That's, it's not the weirdest thing I've ever done. Definitely not the weirdest thing I ever done. She'll kind of laugh at that and walk in purposely towards around the outside of the...
Okay. As you enter, like I described before, the lights come up. You don't see anywhere where the light would be coming from, but there's an ambient light in here. And it looks like a perfectly normal Babbage engine.
Can I take a better look around the room? She's not paying attention to the engine. She's...
Okay. Around the room, you'll find not much. There is a writing desk in one corner with a quill and some sheafs of paper.
She's gonna go over to that and employ her skill set.
Okay.
She's gonna start with pulling out a pencil and going over the sheets of paper.
Okay.
And then do the blotter underneath.
Okay. While the Contessa is over at the writing desk fiddling with the paper, what are the rest of you doing? Who wants to go next?
I want to inspect the door. I want to look
Okay.
at the door and how that worked.
The door itself is one solid piece. From inside the room, it looks like it's solid metal. It has a wood grain texture to it, but it definitely is metal. It is, now that you're inside, it looks 3 inches thick.
It's meaty.
And it's got multiple like bars that lock into the side of the wall when it's closed.
Very interesting. And like, is there no like key anything on either side? Any latches? Nothing
Just a handle with a little lever
on both sides.
on both sides. It's the exact same.
Interesting. And I'll just be inspecting that.
Jasser will be circling the engine and muttering de l'enfer and just looking at it.
How close do you get when you circle it?
At first they start out like they kind of spiral in towards it. They kind of look at different angles and they don't know what they're looking for. They've only heard of such things in plays and in stories and fables.
I mean, you've seen a lot of gears and machinations of some of the tinkerers that have been at different playhouses that you've been a part of.
Sure. And so like I think that they take all of that in and then what they saw from behind and they're trying to make sense of both of them all while still being a little bit dazzled by the magic.
As you spiral in toward it, you'll notice more and more details about it. It's really high craftsmanship. You would guess that this is a master tinker that made this, not just some random person. And it's definitely not mass produced. It is clearly handmade and extremely uniform.
Would I be able to play a card for perception to kind of get...
Absolutely.
Yeah, as I get closer, Jasser's not going to touch it at all. They don't deal with machinery of any kind.
Okay. Just let me know about how close so I can give you appropriate detail for the distance in which you are from it. The room itself is very large. It's the other 3/4 of underneath the ballroom.
I feel like they'll get pretty close. Like they're used to being on a stage where they're very close quarters and, so gears in the face pretty much. So they'll get up very close to kind of inspect.
Excellent. And a 4 of diamonds.
So that would be a 10 total.
As you get closer, you'll see more and more of the details of the artistry of this work come into light. There are a number of inscribed, I don't know, runes maybe. It doesn't look like formal language that you're used to, a formal script that you're used to. But it's definitely some sort of character, and it's a variety of them. Each gear doesn't seem to repeat characters, but those characters are repeated on each gear. You'll see different combinations of them on each of the struts that go up and little bits and details like that. And as you press in closer, once you get about 6 inches away from it, all of a sudden it comes to life. And the gears start to whir. And to the left of the machine from the where you're standing, there is a more of a rumbling as you hear the engine of it start to kick on as it moves, not like in place. It's not moving throughout the room, but as the gears start to move and it starts to do something.
Jasser will immediately snap back and will call out, Lord Oberon, there was writing and I got a little too close. I think this machination is alive.
I would advise everyone to leave the room just in case.
I follow the Countess's lead.
Before we get to that stage, I want to know what Iselina's been doing during this time.
I really just think that this door is very cool. So I've just, and also the illusion thing that's happening. I don't get it, and it's kind of bothering me that I don't get it. So I will be looking at the door almost to be like, maybe there's something on the door that's causing the illusion. Like when you pass through, that's where it is. So I'm just inspecting the rim.
Okay.
And I'll walk in and out and in and out. I'll just play that game.
Okay. Are you going to add anything to your perception as you inspect?
Oh yeah, sure. Which one's perception? You are the diamond.
Diamonds.
I shall add in a 6.
Okay.
What is that?
And your sorcery is not poor, correct?
No, my sorcery's not poor.
Okay. So you'll notice that there are definite markings along it. You do believe that Oberon was probably correct, that they probably are wards of some sort that are connected to the effects that you're seeing. It's definitely not something that you're used to seeing, but it's impressive. Like they're very intricate. They're laid in such a way that you'd have to really study them to see them because they're on the inside. So when the door is shut, there's no way to know they're there. And there's matching set on the inside edge of the door itself as well. So you think that they are, some of them are latent, like the illusion, but you think that there are other ones that are in place when the door is shut, and those two sets of inscribed wards align.
And I get the impression that the first illusion, the red ominous illusion, is like that's the illusion and not when you walk in.
That is your perception, yes, at this point. With you have an average sorcery?
Yeah.
Yeah, with an average sorcery, that is your perception of it, yes.
Okay. So I'm definitely trying to suss out myself. This is what I'm doing the entire time as I'm looking at this and looking at them. I'm just trying to see what changes whenever I walk in and out, especially as they mess around with things. And I'm just like, it's sort of like when you're trying to tell the difference between like two colors that are very, very similar, and you're just like looking like, which one do I like better? Or when you're at the eye doctor and they're like, which one is clearer?
Yeah,
I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, excellent. So back to the corner where the desk is in the Contessa, your pencil, actually nothing happens. You don't find any impressions. The inkwell and quill, the inkwell is actually empty, and the nib on the quill looks as though it's never been used.
She's going to inspect the rest of this.
There are
Because
no drawers, so that's everything that's there. It's a mahogany desk. It's very simple. It's a little taller than normal, and there is no chair, so you're assuming it's a standing desk of sorts. When Josser moves up to it and the machine comes to life, what do you do?
she's going to take. Can I play a card to look around the rest of the room to see if anything else reacts when the machine comes to life?
Absolutely. Excellent. So with an 8 of diamonds, we're going, that'll give you a 14. Outside of the people in the room, and the only thing that you notice would be that some of the light in the room seems to flicker when the machine first comes on. It's very faint. It's not like an old shop light that's very clear, like everyone can see it flicker on. It's very subtle, but it is as though there's some sort of energy pull. You've seen enough contraptions that use electricity to make that connection, even though you are pretty certain that this is not electrical energy.
Can I tell what direction the flickering is in?
It's ambient. It literally comes from all around you. Everywhere the light is, it all just subtly just kind of it wobbles for the lack of a better term.
Does this sound, when it turns on, does it sound like what I heard?
Yes, actually it does.
Does anything change on the desk when it turns on?
As you look back, you will notice that as it's turning and it's churning, words begin to burn into the top page. Quite literally, burn. And that is where we will take our first break, or our break tonight. Hold on, everyone. We'll be back in about 5 to 8 minutes. We need to refresh and prepare for the second half.
All right, we'll be right back. And we're back, everyone. Hi.
Welcome back. Just before the break, the Babbage engine in the basement had turned on when Jasser was inspecting it. And the Contessa noticed the sheafs of paper, the top sheaf of paper on the writing desk, started to have words burnt into it.
She's going to try and read them.
Okay. What languages does the Contessa know again?
So many. Where are they? I wrote them down. They are English, French, Italian, Latin, and Spanish. But she would recognize anything.
Yeah. As you stare at it, the characters actually shift on the page into Latin.
Mm.
And it says, "The one who seeks eternity has it within his grasp."
Well, that is very disconcerting. Okay, she's going to be a little bit nerdy here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it ecclesiastical Latin or classical Latin?
Classical Latin. At the bottom, you will see 3 characters that would roughly translate in English to VDK. So it might be a UDK.
Is it capitalized or are they lowercase?
They're all capitals.
I'll Google either way. So, that is very interesting. Signore, I know what it does.
What does it do?
Well, it's either spying on someone or it's acting as a prophecy. Because whenever Jasser gets closer to that thing and it goes vroom, vroom, whatever, words start putting themselves on the page over here in some very esoteric information.
It could be the reason, the means as to how Desalinas got a hold of our... Well, whatever it is he used against us.
You do know that the only way blackmail works is if we deny what happened, right?
Or we are ashamed of what happened.
Also true. And you are, and so I should say, Isolina, I'm sorry. Whoever killed Lord Marcos got away with one of his books. So I don't know whose information he stole. So I'm going to be very honest and, do something very out of character here and say that he was trying to blackmail me about my horrible relationship with my not so dear brother-in-law.
The brother of your dearly departed husband.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, my dear Stefano and I were not blessed with children, and therefore, of course, his brother inherited, at least the title.
Oh. Okay.
And Lorenzo has kind of hated me since we were children, so, you know,
Yeah, it happens.
pretty much.
But I mean, and thank you for the information, I guess. But for what reason do you tell us?
Because I figure when we walk out of this room, someone will try, no doubt, to use that information against us. And considering the way that things are going, I'd rather be on better terms with you all. You seem pleasant company.
That's fair.
And realistically speaking, it's not like it has anything really harmful to me to say that I don't get along with my brother-in-law.
True. I mean, I would tell you all my thing, but it's not really my thing to tell. I have to consult other people before I can do so, but it's not anything bad. I have not killed anyone. Or
I'm
caused
assuming so.
anyone.
I cannot tell you what mine is because, well, it does not matter right now.
That's what.
I do have a question, though. Was it accurate or was it lyrical?
It was dead on. There was no doubt.
DM, was it what he sent me, like, you can infer this information based on what was put there, but somebody else who is reading it may not be able to read it exactly? It was literal page by page.
Yep. It was specific enough that you believed he knew what he said he knew.
Okay. Because that is very interesting. This is a little vague. So it would require somebody who is actually reading to know what they were saying, because it says, my pardon, the one who seeks eternity has it within his grasp.
Perhaps the text is different depending who's reading.
That is my thought.
Or perhaps we can ask a question of this machine and it answers. Maybe, just maybe, that the last person who asked the question of it just didn't word it properly.
Does anyone know a VDK or a UDK?
Do I know a VDK or a UDK based off of my?
Yeah, do I?
Let's see. Their social grace, my check. Anything there?
Or my connections?
If you were to scour your circles, amongst all of you actually, you would probably find someone with those initials somewhere, but no one that's close to you or no one that is nearby.
That's fair. It's just do you feel fine? Do you feel okay?
I mean, other than unsettled and a little bit, well, thirsty. No,
I have...
Oh, merci. I am fine.
So,
I mean, DM, am I fine?
Yeah, Jasser's emotional state is however they feel. There's no external influence changing it.
then I would like to get close to the infernal machine and like as close as Jesse was. And I will look around it. And if nothing happens, if it doesn't move or anything.
Just wash your nose.
When you're looking around, do you look at anything in particular, or are you just trying to see if it's like...
I'm gonna go to to see if that's what activated it or if it was pure coincidence.
It does not seem to activate when you just move in from motion activated.
And I shall look around, and I'll even like ask it like, what is Isolina Montiel's biggest secret?
Are you looking at any parts of it in particular?
Let's look at a Babbage machine again. Babbage machine. What part of Gretchen Wiener's hair looks like it holds the secrets?
You do know that, like, Jasser was inspecting different parts of it and was looking at it very closely.
Then, yeah, I'll start poking around in the figurative sense
Mhm.
of looking at things. And, at some point, I'm sure I'll genuinely become very interested in what this machine does and how it
Mhm.
works. But I'll start off usually how I usually do it with my parents' stuff. I'll start off in one place and I'll just see what it does and I'll
Okay.
track it that way.
As you start to cast your gaze along the machine and assess what it does, you start to notice some of the same things Jasser was noticing, including the runic script that is on each of the gears and how it's on every single one of them, and it's on the struts and the other parts, those same runes, but in different orders. They never seem to duplicate on any one particular part, but they are on all of them, not always in the same order. And as you trace along its pathway, about halfway through, the gears start to move.
Contas, is anything happening over on your end?
She's looking at the paper.
And
Give it a little while, and
I'll say the thing again, like, what is
Okay.
my biggest secret, just to see if that's what triggers it.
okay. It starts to move. It goes for about the same time it did with the Jasser, which was not super long, and script burns on the page again. And this time it's in Spanish.
Oh. What does it say?
Says her heart belongs to someone that it should not.
Oh, what are the initials?
There are none.
Oh, there are no initials. Oh, fair enough. That sounds about right.
Her heart belongs to one that should not.
I have to say that before anyone asks, I was not thinking of anything specific when the machine started.
Nope, and you didn't say anything either, correct?
That is correct.
I think
I
if you
mean-
ask specifically, I think it's oh my gosh, not French. I think the thing it is, I'm just so confused, my brain, is if you ask it specifically, I think it gives you that information, at
So
least
it is.
through this first variable test.
It is true.
What was said? Yes, that is true. Yes.
That is probing. I am sorry.
Oh, it is no problem. Not for me, at least.
Just said,
Me?
do you speak Latin?
No, I do not.
Signore Oberon, I know you cast in Latin, but do you speak it?
Yes, I do.
And you were the first one in the room. Did you say anything when you walked in?
Not that I recall. Nothing short of this is amazing.
Because, well, I can tell you right now that whatever is on this piece of paper in Latin has nothing to do with me. Or at least not anything that I'm aware has to do with me. It's entirely possible that somebody else has, I think. But this is intriguing that Signorina Isolina asks a question, and then the answer is given in her language, her native language. And Chris is muted.
It also did not shift. The first one shifted scripts.
Ooh, it shifted from something else to something that...
Mm-hmm. Something that you didn't recognize at first to Latin.
Okay.
Maybe it is collecting from around here, from the people inside.
I have never been here before.
Yes, it would make it complicated. I've never been in, well, I mean, I've only been in Barcelona for 4 months, and I've only been here for however long the party started. So, Signore Oberon, could I recreate the character of any of the language that I saw before it shifted to Latin?
Do you have a diamond?
I have diamonds.
Go ahead and play a diamond because it would be a straight like memory, so mental check,
Okay.
not based on anything in particular. Yeah, you could put together a string of 3 of them that you can remember.
So she'd write that in her little notebook and then walk over to Oberon and say, does this look like familiar language to you?
Is anyone, either of you or anyone else in the room, familiar with the Cyrillic alphabet?
IRL? No, I have no idea what.
No, the characters.
I mean,
Oh.
I could make an argument that the Contessa would have seen it.
Eastern European.
No, the weirdest language I speak is Welsh.
Okay.
I mean, she would have seen it.
Yeah, it's possible. Whether or not it comes to mind is going to be the question.
True.
No Russian
Nope.
amongst anyone? Okay.
Mhm.
No, I
Um,
didn't actually pick any languages, so.
Fair enough. I'll give it to you that it reminds you of Russian.
Okay.
You're not 100% sure.
I mean, she did spend an extended period of time in Vienna, so
Yeah, and there's probably some Russian there.
at least, and if
that you would
all
have
else
seen
fails,
in print.
the train signs possibly.
Mhm.
So,
That's
well-
a good point.
okay, so she would say that it reminds her of something like she would of the Russian that she saw when she was in Vienna. She has no idea what it says or what the letters are, but
Well, the only Russian I have seen tonight is that monk.
yes, and he's apparently. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say this. I should share this information. He's apparently playing at being a spy.
Oh, interesting.
How would you know that?
The ring that he's wearing on his left hand.
What is the symbol on the ring?
She would sketch it out and then say that it is the symbol of the Promethean Society. I've come across them a couple times. They are very dedicated to eradicating the evils of the world. And Signore Talbot, you heard about Don Fernando's minor rant about Signore Talbot, no? Apparently, he likes to recruit for them. And with Carolina being his associated with him, I would expect that maybe Carolina is possibly associated with this Promethean Society as well.
Is that the same symbol you sent me ages ago, Chris? Or is it different?
The one that was on the brooch?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's different than that.
it's different. Oh, okay. Interesting. And so she came in and took something that did not belong to him, which honestly could be many things, from business to the secret business.
I have a feeling that these are all connected in some way.
Oh, of course.
Yes. I mean,
And spies do not surprise me on a night like this. If
Signore,
Oh,
Signore Oberon. Sorry, Monsieur Gisser. I just was struck by a thought. I know vaguely of how electricity works. It has to draw from somewhere and go to someplace, no? How would such a thing be powered magically, Signore Oberon?
Oh, this is my area of expertise. You see, magic comes from these things called ley lines, which crisscross the entire planet. And when you want to cast a spell, to put it in layman's terms, you draw upon the residual magic around these ley lines. Magic is limited, and so a machine like this would be draining the magic from everywhere around it. Did I feel it harder to cast spells since I was at the party tonight? Like, did it feel like something was draining at the thaumic energy?
You remember your experience in the garden?
That's true. It took me longer than usual.
And but upstairs, not at all. Upstairs, it was actually faster than normal.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a sorcery.
Sure.
Whatever card you have, play whatever you want to play. But play something for sorcery. Okay.
It's gonna be
Offsuit.
offsuit, unfortunately.
Okay. It strikes you that it's possible this machine, if you look at its position, it's not directly in the center of the room. It's not far off, but it's not directly in the center of the room. What if it was positioned over an intersection of two ley lines? What then?
I don't have my machine built to be able to see the ley lines.
Not yet. It's a hypothesis. If you had your machine, it'd be a totally different
Yeah, all
thing.
the more reason to try to get it. Try to get it built. Can we move this infernal engine? Does it look like bolted to the floor, or does it look like it can be moved?
It is secured to the floor. I mean, you could still move it, but you would have to first unsecure it from the floor and then move it. And last I checked, I don't think any of you either A, have the tinkering ability to do that, or the strength, raw physique.
You were gonna say, Deirdre?
Well, can we break it? If you can't move it, break it.
But should we?
Well, it's spying on personal information from everyone that we've ever met across this world. I think that it's a little bit invasive. And that's coming from me.
A dangerous tool.
I do have to say that I've only seen this one act of magic against one other act of magic, and it was a small thing to block a door. It caused deafness and sparkles. What would happen if we break something of much more magical potential?
They're right. Plus, I think we should glean everything we can from this machine before attempting anything on it. Such as, and I'll get closer to the machine, and I will ask it, Who built you?
Are you doing anything else, or are you just talking to it?
You have to mess around with it, Oberon. I've just tried talking to it. It did nothing.
There are markings on the gears. It started moving when I was examining them.
Oh, yes, the runes. A lot of runes. All of them different. Very fascinating.
What about the runes?
That I was just looking and it started.
Pretending to read them, you know, the usual.
Pretending.
I'm gonna actually try to read them.
Okay.
See if they make sense.
You recognize what they are, but you do not know how to read them. They are unseelie runes.
Oh.
But as you're going over them, the gears do start to turn.
And I'm not gonna ask it anything. I'm
What
just gonna
what
wait
word?
and see.
Okay?
And the Contessa is still standing in front of the desk. She hasn't moved.
Mhm. And script begins to burn into it again.
And what is?
It is in French. And you speak French, yes, Contessa? It says, not all of my children are mine.
That is juicy.
She'll read it out loud in French. And I'm going to...
Just a little choke on some wine.
And at the bottom, you see 3 letters again. And it's LGF.
Well, it didn't answer the question you asked, Lord Oberon.
Do you think we could ask it who made this machine?
Well, that's what Lord Oberon asked, and it didn't give an answer.
No,
Yeah.
I fiddled with it and I didn't ask anything. My hypothesis
Okay.
was that
Sorry.
if you don't ask it anything, it'll repeat the last answer it wrote, but it doesn't seem like it.
Well,
Maybe it's like a prayer, only listening to our secrets.
Were you able to understand the ruins, Oberon?
They're on Sealy ruins. Runes. But it's nothing I can make out. Let's see if I can get it to work again.
I'd be slightly disturbed if you could read them.
Hey, hello, who made you? Hello.
Yeah, I'll start fiddling with it and ask it who made you. Can I try to spin the gears myself? Like, do they turn?
Before or after you start to read it, are you just trying to turn them
I'll try to
before
turn them
anything else?
before, and then I'll try to read, and I'll ask my question.
Okay. They do not seem to move much. Like there's some give, like you can tell it's a machine,
Okay.
but it's not enough that you could spin it on your own. There's a lot of tension.
Okay. So the settings on this machine are set. There's nothing I can do to change them, basically. If I'm going off of a Babbage machine where, like, it looks like you have like these columns of numbers that
Mhm.
can rotate. So I'm assuming the runes are where the numbers would be.
And it's possible but it would have to be connected to the casing where the engine sound comes from. So if you remember, when it first started up, there's a sound of an engine to the would have been to Gisaire's left, and there was this casing, and within it came the rumbling sound of the engine that spun the gears.
I don't want to fiddle with that.
But you'd have to take off the casing to see what you can do with that.
Which probably requires some tinkering.
Or just brute strength.
Yeah, as soon as Oberon puts his hands on the machine, Jassar looks very uncomfortable, and will kind of lean in and mention, I do not doubt your expertise, monsieur, but are you sure that is the wisest course of action?
Well, we need to understand how it works if we're to understand where these messages and these initials come from.
First ask it who made it before we break it.
Yes.
Okay. So when you do that, on the sheaf of paper burns one word in a language that you do not speak.
It's okay, I'll still write it down.
Okay.
On my notes, I'm gonna write squiggly, squiggly, squiggly.
Fair enough.
Do any of the letters look similar to anything the Contessa has ever seen?
No, these do not.
Do they look at all like the bottle?
Yes,
Like
that
what?
they do.
The wine bottle
Mm-hmm.
Different.
that she has
but much more
holding in her hand.
I forgot that you still had that bottle. So yes, that one it does.
She's going to look at it, look at the piece of paper, look at Oberon. And Oberon said that they noticed unseelie runes, and she said she's going to say, "So Oberon, Signore Oberon, my dear Lord Oberon, how did Fey wine taste to your magic?" And she's going to slowly put the bottle down next to the thing and put the glass down next to it.
It was actually quite good, and I wouldn't mind taking some more.
Good, because that's the same kind of writing that's on the piece of paper right now.
Does it match with the runes on the gears?
Does
They, all three of them are similar. The bottle looks like a different dialect. The gears and the script on the paper look to be a match.
So,
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely point that out to the Contessa.
Interesting.
well, in that case, I might have some more. Would you like some more, Lord Oberon? Apparently, we're going down with this bottle.
By all means, yes.
And she'll
Oh.
pour out for everybody.
Oberon, you would safely surmise that the bottle is Seelie and the machine is unseelie, as is the message.
So it was made by a fae. Could I know which type of fae are from the Unseelie Court?
They're all dark fae.
Trying to think what skill would be most appropriate to glean more than general information.
Could we combine our education to try and figure that out?
I don't know that they'd be covered in a general education.
Oops, sorry. Could I use performance to draw on my experience as a play actor in understanding Fae in theatrics?
Mm-hmm. To what end?
to kind of draw on stories and lore.
And what details are you looking to glean from those stories? I'm thinking yes, but I'm just trying to figure out to what extent you'll be able to go.
Maybe if there was ever like such stories of like these sorts of machinations or plots or anything that would have sort of inroads to what we are experiencing, even if it's tangential.
Oh, absolutely. In that regard, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So performance is great, and I have a 9 of hearts.
Oh, excellent. So that's a 17. You'll be able to come up with a handful of things that are interesting that you remember. Specifically about the Dark Fae, I'm assuming is where you're focusing.
Yeah.
Machines like this or other contraptions are often created by the Unseelie court, sometimes in collaboration with dwarves, sometimes forced labor from dwarves in order to make some of the parts. And they use them as trade with mortals who are have some deep greed. The Unseelie seeks things that most mortals either don't believe in or don't see the same value in. A lot of times in plays and stories, that turns into things like souls or some emotion that they're giving up in exchange for this tangible material good. It's also where other stories of like trading with some sort of demon or devil may come from in the the Christian kinds of folklore. It's very they parallel quite almost identically to the stories of the Fae that you find that they have these bargains. What follow-ups do you have?
I imagine like Chasseur will actually start probably rambling, but more in a way of like starting to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say something like, I do not know this to be true, but I have heard such things in stories and fables. And they'll go into the details that you've provided. And then they'll carry on and say something like, though these are for children to help them go to sleep or to ward them away from danger, I do believe that these are built on kernels of truth. Is there anything that anyone else knows that aligns?
With my education, would I be able to confirm or infirm some of these statements?
You've heard of very similar statements about different sorcerers or even sorceress orders that have made deals with Fae. You know of a number of sorcerers that have joined the Second Compact that explicitly is trying to stop such deals and keep any sort of infernal machines from the mortal plane. So, yeah, in a sense, you could confirm this, but it's always somebody that knows that this happened. It's never been something that you've even gotten secondhand from someone that was there.
Well, it might just all be hearsay, but Chasseur, I can confirm some of the things you've just said.
Well, it is more often than not that the direct people in these accounts may have ended up dead.
Usually. When they say that, can the Contessa use any of her connections to know any of those people?
Not specific people that the Contessa has met. However, the Contessa does know of Oh, let's see here. What's the name of that society? I have to find it. Wasn't the original one I was going to go with. Basically, when you were in Vienna, maybe not last, but one of your trips to Vienna, you did meet with someone who was telling you about Karl Marx and his quest for infernal engines to overthrow many of the governments and free the workers from the bonds of what he considered to be unfair servitude to systems that did not serve them.
Well, I mean, the last person I ever heard who had anything to do with an engine like that or infernal engine was Signore Marx. He's caused such a drama. Okay, question for the DM, because I do not know where he would fall in this alternate timeline world.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up the page that he's on.
Is Marx a Prussian?
That's what I'm trying to confirm. I want to say yes. He's obviously either Prussian or Bayern, but I believe that he's Prussian. I just can't find him in the book right now.
Because I'm trying to remember.
Yes, he is a Prussian. And his group is known as the World Anarchist Brotherhood.
And his anarchists. Never have a good... I mean, I don't inherently object to some of their ideas. I just have lots of problems with their application and their poor judgment of what is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bombs, assassinations, infernal devices, terror, intimidation.
Poor decisions. It doesn't really work out in the long run for anyone involved, and he's a Prussian.
Yes. People who use machines like this are just looking for what happened to just good old fashioned, you go and meet people and speak to them. And that's how you get your information. This is such convoluted mess. So expensive when you could get the same thing from just speaking.
That is very true.
People are so lazy nowadays.
Oh, so lazy. They don't want to put the work in.
It's the most interesting part, I'd say.
It's the
They
second
let the
most
devil
interesting
do
part.
it for them.
Lazy. They do not deserve what they get. Oh, they deserve exactly what they get,
Well, in our case, they're already dead. But we still have this machine, and we have secret societies here and spies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, as I was drinking wine earlier, I was watching Oberon create a light show. I did remember. I was thinking about that stealth zeppelin we saw earlier yesterday. Oh no, that was today. We saw earlier today. Speaking of Prussian, I remember my parents once speaking about an inventor who made this zeppelin. It was a stealth zeppelin, probably what we saw. And there was a rumor that it was out in the black market over in Constantinople. A person who made it, Senor Heiser, Prussia. And they were about to go out and try to find it, but business is business. But I did remember that in another senor from Prussia.
Prussians making all of the mess.
In my beautiful Barcelona, how dare they?
They get in every place. So civilized.
So,
Not Oberon.
Yes.
sorry, Jose.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, go ahead.
If we think this is built by the Unseelie, I do not think we should leave it intact. Is there a way that you could maybe not break it, but well, I have a typewriter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I take the keys off the typewriter, rather than just breaking the whole thing or taking the tape off of the typewriter, it's broken and it does not work, but it is not a lot of effort.
Well, I do know of certain spells that would prevent the movement of gears. But I believe we shouldn't touch the machine. If one of these secret societies is interested in using it, I can ward this entire room. Think of it as an alarm that would warn us if anyone was to come here.
What about those charming individuals upstairs?
I say we tell Monsieur Marquez. I trust him. Maybe Beta has something to deal with such devices. Also, in my headcanon, it's pronounced Beta.
Beta?
Beta.
I'm good with that.
Is that a name we know?
BISA.
Oh,
The Barcelona Investigative and Surveillance Agency.
Okay, sorry. Wow, I did not make that connection. Well, you know, there are definitely worse investigative agencies that I've come across.
He is a very forthright man and honorable.
The question becomes, do you trust him with the possibility of blackmail for yourselves?
Take the paper.
Well, it doesn't look... Oh, Signore Oberon, what about breaking the desk?
I feel like the desk isn't necessary for the magic of the machine to work.
Probably not, but if that's where it's going right now, it might delay them long enough for, you know.
Wait, we have to do at least something to
Like I
slow
said,
them down.
I can lock the machine down.
But then what do we do when they unlock it, senor? Will you come in and hit them in the face and they hit you with your magic?
No, I would actually put a ward on the room and on the door. Which means that if someone was to come in, if they use magic to open the door, or if the magic of the machine starts anew, then I would be warned, and then we can all come down and ambush whoever it is that tried to use the machine.
How far away is that word going to tell you? Because I'm going to tell you I'm not sleeping here tonight.
Yes, I have other plans tonight.
The same planet, I think.
I do
Is that
not.
in character, outside character?
Yeah, it's a psychic link that is established with me. Chris, can you tell me the lesser wards and greater wards? From what I can see, there's a limit to what they're able to ward, but there isn't anything about the distance to which I can be and be warned about it.
It would depend on how much magic energy you pump into it. So when you look at the spell definitions, range is one of them. So that's page 87 of the Comme il faut.
Oh,
And so range of self is one. So that's for like spell range. So in this case, you obviously have to touch it for that part. But for the range of your psychic connection is what I would use. So you could make it the same city, same country, same dimension, same time. But that's just going to increase the amount of energy you're going to have to pump into it. Every one of those pulls in another point as you go further away.
okay.
And the same city isn't that far along.
Within a few miles. Yeah, it's only 3.
Yeah.
My main, I wouldn't say issue, but my main thought of this is what will we do to them? We find them, and then what? If they can open this door, I assume they can do other magics, and not everyone is as nice as you are, Oberon.
No, but we could question them.
Will they still be here by the time we get there?
Exactly.
That's the thing.
I feel like we will need Monsieur Marquez in any event.
That is possible. I think at this point we might have to actually...
Speak to the authorities.
Yeah.
How will we have found this room? By accident?
I mean, just the sheer virtue of being here. They'll know that we've been here. It's our secret.
Not necessarily. And she'll reach over and take the piece of paper that had the burned words on it.
That is not what I mean. If they use the machine and ask the right questions. What's to say our names do not get written in whatever language is appropriate?
This is true.
I start fiddling with the machine again.
Just winces.
There's a question we've been avoiding to ask, and that I feel like we should know the answer to.
Then ask it.
Who killed
Alright.
Marcus de Salinas?
Oh, I completely forgot he was a person.
I never met the man.
Died like 2
So many more
hours
interesting
ago.
people. Yes, but so
Albeit.
much has happened since then. Carolina is so much more interesting than this Marquez.
I mean, to be
Well-
honest, Signore Marquez was not as interesting when he was alive that I would remember him, and Carolina was much more interesting. There are so many more people that are more interesting than him.
I mean, we just met a machine. And we went deaf for a little bit. There was sparkling glass. It was a whole thing. And wine. And a lot of food.
Lots of wine.
Oh, yeah, go
I
ahead.
figured-
Who killed Salinas? I forgot.
I figure by this point, Oberon's the soberest.
As Oberon continued drinking the fairy wine.
Yes, he did, because I poured him a glass.
Okay.
Unless he didn't drink it, but
I
No.
just...
Assume I drink it.
Okay.
I don't know that it does things to my magic, so.
Yep. So what are you going to fiddle with the machine about?
Same as before, I'm gonna try to read, make out the runes, and then ask the question repeatedly: who killed Marcus de Salinas?
Okay. On the paper, it burns in more of that Sealy script. Well, unsealy script.
Ah, poop.
I'm still going to write that down as squiggly, squiggly, squiggly.
Mm-hmm. Squiggly,
Wait,
squiggly.
wait. Are they the same squigglies from the other squiggly?
Now, they're not identical. Same
Okay, so different name.
alphabet, different
do,
words.
I just wanted to see what the
do,
name
are there repeated symbols?
We're writing this shit down. We're gonna figure it. We're making our own Rosetta Stone out here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding? This is what she does.
Can you tell
I
me what the
figured this was
alphabet
happening.
is? What is the
Um,
silly alphabet, Mr. Infernal Machine? Next question.
Oh, no, even better.
Okay.
I want to phrase this the right way, though. How would a member of the Promethean Society address the person who killed Lord Desalinas?
Okay. And you do that while reading the runes on the gears?
No, she's going because she's still standing over by the
Okay.
writing desk. She hasn't moved. She'd ask Oberon to ask that.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter if I necessarily know what it is, but we have two members of the Promethean Society upstairs, and
How would they address the person that killed Marcos de Salinas?
or how would they call him, I guess would be a more accurate way to say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise the answer can just be, hey, you.
Yeah.
Guys.
The gears spin. And no words appear.
They wouldn't.
Interesting.
How would Lord Ferdinand Marquez refer to who killed Lord Marcos de Salinas?
Okay. You go through the same process,
Mhm.
and again, nothing appears.
I'm beginning to get too curious for my own good. Let us make a decision on this machine.
We can keep
Mm.
Very
using it to
tempted.
try to glean any information that we need.
It seems to have some limitations.
But it's limitations based on what we know. Ah. Where is the individual who killed Lord Marcos de Salinas?
Hmm.
And it says, in this room.
Right now.
It's it will actually write it in English this time. And it'll just say sky.
So it's the
Can't
person
even get-
aboard the Zeppelin.
And it can't even give us, like, longitude and latitude. That is a very poor infernal machine. I'm just going to say that out loud.
At least we know they have human feet. They have toes.
Along those lines, Deirdre,
Mm-hmm.
all of the answers seem to be missing details. They're all esoteric or vague in some way.
That's what she was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So she's actually going to go up to the machine and ask a very straightforward question. What is my favorite brother's name?
I was
That's a
tempted.
good question.
I was tempted to just ask it did the Contessa murder her husband?
Go ahead and ask that. She will tell you straight up, and the answer is no.
And on the piece of paper, it will write out the name of one of your brothers.
But which one?
The favorite one.
This is the face of a DM who now has to scroll through like pages of notes to try to find the
Yep.
word.
Pages of notes from me? Now, why would I do that?
Your second favorite. The one you actually hate. But don't
It's
tell
a
us.
very complicated question. For which you can infer she has at least more than one brother.
Bastiano.
Okay. Well, it can be specific when it is given a specific question, but it isn't always all-knowing, and it isn't all very well.
Maybe you just-
Where is Bastiano? Fioravanti.
In the place you last saw him.
This guy.
Okay. What?
It will actually point out that he is currently traveling
To see you.
no
Surprise.
so it'll say traveling through Turkey in Italian.
I hope he enjoys it.
Turkey.
I really hope he does. I wonder, hope he'll select something nice. Well, at least it can be. It says it's traveling through Turkey, but it's not specific about where he is in Turkey. And Turkey is a very large place, particularly when you consider that it includes both Turkey and Greece.
You realize that you're using an infernal engine, a machine of a wonder of magic and technology to keep tabs on your relatives.
No, it is some.
It's an experiment.
Signore, it was an experiment, and it was an experiment based on the fact that I'm very aware of, generally speaking, I mean, if we want to be more, if it's saying that it's traveling through Turkey. Turkey is a very large place. It covers a massive amount of area. And a massive peninsula where some of my relatives come from in Greece. But it is not that specific.
It does tell me if you ask the right questions, you'll get really good direct answers. Like, who has been in this room?
But it isn't as specific as when they were in this room or in what groups were they in this room. Think about it. We ask.
Who was the last person before us to come in this room?
You asked that question?
Mm-hmm.
Burned into the sheaf of paper is Marcos de Salinas.
Oh, so it actually is Marcos de Salinas. Look at him. He wasn't as useless as we all thought.
And he wasn't as dead as I thought.
Well,
It's like writing from a ghost.
Now, to be honest, I don't usually get writing from ghosts, but various members of my family have been visited by dead relatives in their dreams. It happens.
If you see the right production of Hamlet, you'll see ghosts.
I wondered, is it actually Marcos de Salinas who is that up there? Excuse me, machine. Is Marcos de Salinas
Dead.
alive?
Is he alive? Is Marcos de Salinas alive?
Yes.
Another sheaf of paper is marred with the word no burned across it.
Interesting. Is he dead? Machine.
The answer is yes. And
Yeah.
you notice, Contessa, that there are only 3 sheafs of parchment left. It does not write on it writes on a new sheaf every time.
Well, it looks like we only have 3 questions that we can use anymore. Lord Oberon, is there anything pressing you want to know?
Do we only have 3 questions left?
That is a tool of a question.
Do you actually ask that?
Yeah.
It's
Because-
Simon, of course he does.
Because at this point, if we wanted to break the machine or what have you, burning through the papers with ridiculous questions is gonna do just fine.
That works for me.
And we won't have to destroy a marvel of engineering.
In French, it writes across it. Your inquiries are endless and tiresome.
That sounds French.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but wait, it means that the machine has a
Sentience?
Yeah, a sort of sentience.
This is why you are nice to things.
I'm not unnice to things, but
Like, that's what, excuse me, please, Mr. Machine. You know, just things of respect. You never know in this world what is what.
Signore Machine.
This took a turn I was not expecting.
1,000 apologies, machine.
She's not that nice.
As you begin to speak, you will hear a voice coming from the doorway.
Oh, shit.
Thought you were gonna say the machine. I was about to say, oh my gosh, we did it. We broke it.
Well,
And
isn't that interesting?
Signore, I have a question for you, Signore. I didn't get your name last time. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm the Contessa Lucrezia Sofia Fioravanti. And you are
Brother Vladimir Korsakov.
Brother Kosakov.
And on that, we are going to end the evening. Thank you all for showing up. Before we wander off, though, I would like all of my lovely cast to tell us where you will be seen. Take it away, Simon.
All right. Well, I am Simon at Wandering DM. This is my channel. Hi, welcome everyone. Thanks for hanging out in chat. Thanks for playing. Thanks for hosting, Chris. I had a lovely time this evening, and I think I'm starting to figure out what VDK was. Vladimir something Kosakov.
Corsica.
Or something like that, maybe. I don't know. Anyway. You can find me on Twitter at wandering_DM. The handle is right under our portraits. We are going to be back tomorrow for some Pulp Cthulhu with our Go West campaign. And then on Sunday, you can find me over at Soul Bear RPG playing the role of Kadern, the Tiefling Warlock. Speaking of high raiders from Soul Bear RPG, welcome, welcome. And otherwise, on Monday, you can find me on Roleplayers for Age of Arcana, a 5th edition campaign in my homebrew world. And then on Tuesdays, you can come back here for some Dark Matter, Sci-Fi D&D, and Thursday for some good old regular D&D. And, of course, Fridays for Castle Falkenstein. And that's my spiel. I'll pass the ball to PB.
Hi, I'm PB from PB Plays Inside. You can find me at PB Plays Inside on Twitter and Twitch, in which I play some variety gaming, and I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the moment, 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time, and depending on the day, to about 9 p.m., 9:10, depending on the day. And I'm here on Fridays playing this wonderful game. And on Twitter, I ask questions for a Pride bundle that I'm going to be putting out the first month of June. First week of June. First month of June. Oh my gosh. In which I will be providing some cool things like NPC cards and other tools for DMs for different systems.
Nice. Deirdre.
Hello, all. You know me. I'm at Deirdre Donlan on Twitter or Praxgorth as as you see me hanging out in the Twitch chat. And as for me, you will find me tomorrow driving some fine folk mad through some Go West Pulp Cthulhu. Then over on Soulbear RPG for my wonderful Faybard in the Shattered Eye as hashtag entangle for your friends. Everything is about entangle. Because Eleanor's saving the world with that. Then over on Role Players for Age of Arcana. Then back here on Tuesday for Dark Matter, and then Friday for more adventures in Castle Falkenstein, because the Contessa really needs to know what's going on. She has a problem. She needs to know everything. She's nosy like that.
And Kenny.
Yeah, I am Kenny. You can find me on Twitter at Punderdrone. I am also on the Experience Points podcast we release on Wednesdays. And on every other Friday, we have a podcast called Numenera. It's a Numenera campaign. My husband at Cormelon runs that one. I'm also going to be streaming on the Experience Points Twitch channel, a game called Slasher. It is our finale. It's a fake core-based horror game. It's our finale. We'll find out who survives.
All right, and last but not least, our good host this evening, Chris.
Thank you, Simon. It was great to have you again. I absolutely adore this cast. I hope you all enjoyed them as much as I have. You can catch me every Friday here on Wandering DM as the host of Adventures in Castle Falkenstein. On Sundays, I am also over on Soulbear RPG with Simon and Deirdre in the Shattered Eye playing Sigilius. And then this week, tomorrow actually, I'll be on Unmade Gaming as part of their Extra Life for Kids charity stream. So if you've got time tomorrow, come hang out over at Unmade Gaming and throw us some bits for charity.
Cool. Well then, on that note, we are going to go raid our friends at Off the Table, who are playing, I think it's Alice for the Awful Sea tonight. I might be mistaken, but we'll see. They're playing RPGs basically every day of the week. So let's just go and spread the love to them. And we will see you next week, next Friday, for some more Castle Falkenstein. Bye-bye, everyone.